Welcome, students, to the Explainer. Today, we're fundamentally changing the way you look at a simple pen and paper. We're actually going to be decoding the ultimate secret language. Most of us think of handwriting merely as a tool for communication, right? Just a way to jot down a grocery list or sign a document. But what if I told you it's actually a physical mirror reflecting your subconscious mind? It's true. Every single loop, slant, and stroke you make is a direct broadcast of your drives, your fears, and honestly, your ultimate potential.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to take a second and mentally visualize your own handwriting. Think about your signature, the way you cross your T's, or just the general slant of your letters. Is it kind of messy? Is it rigid? What exactly is it saying to the world when you aren't speaking? But more importantly, could those deeply ingrained muscle movements be unconsciously holding you back? Because as we'll discover today, the way you write doesn't just reflect your mindset, it actively reinforces it.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the hidden language of handwriting, move into the anatomy of success, contrast wealth builders versus killers, identify some rare traits to develop, and we'll wrap it all up with a concrete daily practice protocol.
All right, section 1, the hidden language of handwriting.
Before we even look at individual letters, we absolutely must understand the canvas itself. Foundational elements like your baseline and your pen pressure are the truest indicators of your daily psychological state. They basically set the stage for everything else. Take a look at this comparison. Your baseline is that invisible line your words rest on. A slightly rising baseline, climbing from left to right, is the literal physical manifestation of forward momentum, optimism, and just raw ambition. It shows a mind that's ready to attack the day. But contrast that with a drooping or wavy baseline. A wavy line broadcasts emotional instability. People actually unconsciously feel like they can't rely on you. And a drooping baseline, that is pure fatigue and a totally defeatist mindset. It's basically pessimistic self-sabotage written in plain ink. Building on that foundation, let's check out some core physical traits. When you write with heavy, consistent pen pressure, you're projecting vitality and passion. Heavy pressure literally demands that people take you seriously. And if your letters are medium to large, well, you're signaling clear confidence and high self-worth, totally avoiding the inferiority complex of tiny handwriting. Notice the slant, too. A perfect 5 to 15 degree rightward slant shows you actively and warmly move toward people and your goals. And finally, clean starts. Starting your letters directly without any of those unnecessary dependent lead-in strokes or hooks shows you're a true self-starter. You just don't rely on others to get moving. Moving right along to section 2, the anatomy of success. Now that we've got our foundation set, we need to look at how the physical structure of individual letters reveals our most potent internal drives. We do this using a concept called zones. Think of your handwriting kind of like a tree. The upper zone, letters like your B, D, and H, are the highest branches. They represent your big vision, your idealism, and your intellectual ambition. Then you have the middle zone, your A's, E's, and O's. That's the thick trunk of the tree. This is your social self. It's how the world actually experiences your daily presence. And the lower zone letters, with those descending loops like G, Y, and P, those are the deep roots. This is your material drive. It represents money, physical execution, and actually going out into the world and getting things done. Now, what is truly fascinating here is this concept of tri-zone balance. You see, most people walk around completely unbalanced. They unconsciously neglect one of these zones in their handwriting. And guess what? They neglect it in their lives too. But when your upper, middle, and lower zones are totally proportional and consistent, magic happens. You become this fully integrated person where your intellectual ideas, your social relationships, and your physical execution are all working together as one unstoppable force. Which brings us to section 3, wealth builders versus killers. We're now going to sharply divide handwriting traits into 2 distinct categories. You've got marks that structurally build wealth and ensure success, and then you have marks that absolutely guarantee self-sabotage. Let's start with the letter T. The way you cross your T literally sets the ambition ceiling for your entire life. A high right extended T-bar signifies an aggressive goal setter who is entirely future-focused. You're setting your sights high and you're reaching for them. On the flip side, a drooping, short T-bar indicates someone who just plays it safe. They lack follow-through, and they're usually plagued by guilt and self-criticism. Next up, let's look at how your letters hold hands. Look, wealth is built through people, period. Garland connections, which are those smooth, U-shaped upward opening links between letters, show a warm, socially fluid, and remarkably fast thinker. Garland writers build trust and rapport incredibly fast. Now compare that to arcade connections, which look more like arches or N shapes. These suggest a guarded, constructed personality. It's someone who is much, much slower to open up to new opportunities and new relationships.
Okay, this next one is subtle, but man, is it devastating. Just look at the simple I dot. Placing your dot directly above the stem every single time means you are present, precise, detail-oriented, and always on time. But a trailing I dot where the dot falls behind the letter is the ultimate mark of a procrastinator. It is literally the signature of someone who is always playing catch-up, constantly letting vital opportunities and money simply evaporate into thin air. So here are the major red flags you need to fix immediately if you want to flourish. I really cannot warn you strongly enough about the drooping signature end stroke. In graphology, this is identified as the single biggest self-sabotage mark in existence. It just kills your finish. Similarly, an encircled signature shows an extreme defensiveness that actively repels opportunity. A narrow left margin? That means you're trapped in the past, just constantly returning to old patterns. And completely disconnected letters reveal scattered thinking. You might have brilliant ideas, but they'll simply go nowhere because you can't execute sequentially.
Let's shift gears now to Section 4, Rare Traits to Develop.
We've talked about what you need to fix. Now let's shift to the highly valued, super rare marks found in original thinkers, master strategists, and incredibly fast processors. First is the Greek D. Instead of a standard, tall, straight stem, the top of the D curls back gracefully into a backward loop. This is an incredible mark. It signals deep literary intelligence, highly refined taste, and fierce independent thought. In fact, it's incredibly common in master strategists, successful authors, and people who truly think outside the box rather than just copying everyone else.
Then we have the epsilon E, formed just like the Greek letter. This little mark signals incredibly sharp critical thinking and a very healthy dose of skepticism. Writers with the epsilon E question absolutely everything. They utterly refuse to accept surface-level answers. Because of this, it's highly prevalent among brilliant scientists, philosophers, and original thinkers who demand to know why.
And then, of course, we have the elite speed marks. These include the figure-8 motion and letters like G and F, thread connections that look barely visible between your words, and an overall rhythmic regularity that pulses almost like a steady heartbeat. But here's the secret about these elite marks. They absolutely cannot be faked. You just can't force them. They only emerge organically from genuine writing fluency, deep emotional discipline, and exceptional processing speed.
And finally, Section 5, the daily practice protocol.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually acquire these traits? It's time to transition from all this theoretical analysis to a tangible, step-by-step physical practice. I need you to lock this time frame into your mind right now. 3 to 4 weeks. That is exactly how long it takes of consistent daily repetition to forge new muscle memory and permanently alter a psychological trait. You are literally carving new neural pathways here, and you must commit to this time frame without skipping a single day. But listen, you cannot fix everything at once. Actually, scratch that. If you try to fix it all at once, you will definitely fail. You must strictly follow this specific priority order, mastering one trait at a time. First things first, you stabilize your baseline. Once that's consistently rising, you lock in heavy vital pen pressure. Third, you have to absolutely eliminate any drooping signature end strokes. Fourth, you raise and extend your T-bars. And fifth, you carve out those deep, full, lower zone loops to absolutely guarantee execution. Now, to make this actually work, follow these daily practice rules. Practice at the exact same time using the same pen and applying the same heavy pressure every single day. Your signature, it needs to become so natural that it's repeatable in under 3 seconds. And here's a pro tip for you. Write slightly faster than feels comfortable. That speed is what builds true fluency. And fluency is what unlocks those rare elite marks we talked about. Finally, always check your baseline at the end of your session to ensure you haven't slipped back into a drooping, pessimistic slope. As you're doing this practice, keep this structural rule in mind. Your capital letters must be exactly 2.5 times the height of your lowercase letters. Not 2 times. That's just a bit too modest. And definitely not 3 times. That bleeds over into pure arrogance. Exactly 2.5 times projects a true, unshakable authority. Remember, the size of your capitals is your self-valuation, and your earning ceiling in life is directly tied to your self-worth. Wow, okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Everything from the baseline of your optimism down to the specific loops of your material success. Graphology isn't just a parlor trick for reading the past, it's a profound tool for consciously architecting your future. The pen is quite literally a mirror reflecting your deepest internal operating system. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought as you grab a piece of paper today. What will your next stroke reveal? Will it just be an old habit, or the very first mark of a completely new mindset. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, students. I will see you next time.